Hi, hello everybody, I'm Justin, this is Koopa. Welcome to Koopa's Corner. Today we're going to talk about WrestleMania 42. Alright, we're going to do our preview and make our predictions for WrestleMania 42. WrestleMania 42 is next weekend, April's 18th and 19th. It's 2 days, starting at 6 o'clock p.m. instead of the usual 7. WrestleMania is bigger than most PLEs, therefore it needs extra time. Normally I wouldn't make this video until probably the Tuesday before, post it up the Wednesday before, but because it's so big I need a little extra time to edit it, put it all together. So I'm filming this the Saturday before, April 11th. So normally I wait to get that extra Monday Night Raw in case they add anything else. And for this I'm not going to be able to do that. Just because I need a little extra time, and I'm not working today, and I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, so I wouldn't have as much time to edit afterwards. Right, so a little early for the preview and predictions, right, just a little bit. So bear with me here if something changes. Alright, but right now we're looking at 13 matches total. 13. 7 on Saturday, 6 on Sunday. If you go onto WWE's website, they're already divvied up for you. Which ones are Saturday, which ones are Sunday, which makes it easy for me, right? Because I'm just going to kind of run through them in order or as close to what I think the order is going to be as possible, right? So let's jump into it. Seth Rollins versus Gunther. That's the first match I want to talk about. This match I have very mixed emotions about. I think it's a big match. It's probably going to be pretty good, but there's no story. There's no story. This started 2 weeks ago. Right out of the blue. Gunther retired Bill Goldberg, retired John Cena, retired AJ Styles at the Royal Rumble, and then did nothing between the Royal Rumble and 2 weeks ago. Absolutely nothing. Not involved in any stories, not involved in Monday Night Raw in really any capacity. Right? Aside from he got attacked by Dragon Lee backstage a couple of times. Right? And that's it. Okay, Dragon Lee was tag team partners with AJ right at the end there. Why? I don't know. That's such a random pairing. But they were. They were tag team champions. So Dragon Lee went after Gunther a couple of times. Great. Then out of the blue, he saves Paul Heyman and attacks Seth Rollins. Doesn't make any sense. No story. I think you're going to see a lot of that with this WrestleMania. This WrestleMania in particular, they did a really piss-poor job of building to it. They're relying on the branding of WrestleMania to draw people. Sadly, it's probably going to work, but the stories aren't there. This does not feel like a WrestleMania caliber story. There's no story. So, that being said, it makes it really hard to predict. I'm going to say Gunther goes over. Just because I think it's the more interesting option to see, what he asks for from Paul Heyman afterwards if he wins. Plus, the momentum that he has coming off of those 3 big retirements, you don't want to squander it on a throwaway match, right? So Gunther needs to win here to keep his momentum going, and that's really all there is to it. Right, moving on, we've got the 6-man tag team match, right? LA Knight and the Usos versus The Vision and I Show Speed. Man, The Vision is just a shell of itself, isn't it? They're not even facing for the tag team championships right now. Like I know that they won the titles, but put the titles on the line here. Why involve I Show Speed? Why involve LA Knight? Why make it a 6-man? Right? And so, the story of this basically goes that the Usos have been beefing with The Vision for a while, and LA Knight's been beefing with The Vision for a while. And Jey Uso is sort of losing his mind and becoming a miniature Roman Reigns from the peak of the bloodline when he was bossy and ruthless and all this other stuff. And there was a tag team title match. I Show Speed was at ringside after being cursed by Danhausen. Ended up getting involved accidentally, reluctantly, helping out Logan Paul. And Now the Usos want blood, and the Vision offered to protect him, and it's a 6-man tag team match. This is an opportunity just to keep the Vision from killing all of its momentum with Bronson Reed out and Braun Breaker out. The feud with Seth Rollins dead in the water. The Vision is just a shell of itself, and they need to do everything they can to keep it from being a complete bust at this point, because it could really kill itself before all of these guys return from injury if they're not careful. I don't think that necessarily that's going to happen, but it could happen. You know, and the Usos don't really have much going on. LA Knight doesn't have much going on. They don't really gain much by winning. They're not going to start, you know, LA Knight's not going to suddenly amount to something because he wins this match, this random 6-man tag match at WrestleMania. So you've got celebrity involvement here with IShowSpeed, getting him a big victory, you know, keeping the Vision going. It kind of makes sense. The story here has been mid, you know, but hopefully we can just do this and move on. And hopefully after WrestleMania we see some returns from Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Alright, next up I've got down the Women's Tag Team Championships. This is still WrestleMania Saturday, by the way. I'm going through all the Saturday matches first. The Women's Tag Team Championships will be on the line in a fatal 4-way match. Nia Jax and Lash Legends defending the titles against Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, the Bella Twins, and Bayley with Lyra Valkyria. This match was kind of thrown together as well. It gets a lot of these women on the card. There are a lot of big name women in this match who, sadly, would probably otherwise miss WrestleMania, right? I don't think Nia Jax is anything special, but they've kept her featured a lot, right? Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair are two really big names. The Bella Twins are pretty big. Bayley's a pretty big name, and Bayley missed last year. This could go multiple ways. I wouldn't be shocked if Bayley, you know, won it sort of to make up for missing out last year for Becky Lynch and all that. But I don't know. I think it's going to be the Bella Twins, right? They came back for a tag team title run. They're going to get a tag team title run. The titles aren't that important, so why not just give it to them? Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair already held the titles. I think there's more in them turning on each other and feuding than there is keeping them a random miscellaneous tag team. Plus, I think the world title picture could use some fresh blood, and I don't think Charlotte Flair is fresh blood, but Alexa Bliss hasn't been in the world title picture in ages. So, you know, having her win ultimately over Charlotte in a feud and then going on to chase the world title probably, for me, is the best case scenario. But it is what it is. Let's see, after that we've got Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu in an unsanctioned match. It's going to be brutal. There's going to be weapons. It's going to be really, really intense, and that's going to be good. This has potential to be sleeper pick of the night. It really does. Drew McIntyre is so underrated, so undervalued. Jacob Fatu is a big up-and-coming star. And the story of this is basically, you know, Jacob Fatu inadvertently helped Drew McIntyre win the world title from Cody Rhodes. Then he inadvertently helped Cody Rhodes win it back. And Drew McIntyre got involved and prevented Cody from winning the Royal Rumble, even though Cody wasn't supposed to get a world title shot again. He somehow was able to get into the Royal Rumble, which would have given him one. He interfered to stop Cody from winning the Elimination Chamber. Even though Cody wasn't supposed to get a world title shot again, they put him in the Elimination Chamber, which would have gotten him one. So Drew McIntyre was really just keeping the stipulation valid and alive that had been signed into contract, that Cody Rhodes wouldn't get another world title match. And in doing so, Jacob Fatu was semi-feuding with him and semi-feuding with Cody. And instead of this being a triple threat for the world title, they took the world title from Drew, gave it to Cody, who wasn't supposed to get another title match again, but got one anyway. Won it, despite not having supposed to have gotten a world title match again, and is doing something else on the card. So Drew McIntyre's here after having been world champion for the past couple of months without a title match. And he's probably going to lose because Jacob Fatu is a star of the future. This gives him a big profile victory and a big event like WrestleMania, which really elevates his status, and he can propel him forward into like a world title feud after WrestleMania. So there's not really a reality that makes a lot of sense where Drew wins. That being said, Drew got screwed. Drew deserves to win, at least, if nothing else. Go back for the world title. Win the world title back. Drew's so underutilized. Drew McIntyre is one of the best performers that they have. And sometimes he feels like an afterthought. And that's really disappointing. I'm a huge, huge Drew McIntyre fan. But objectively, he's just better than a lot of these people are. So I'm rooting for Drew. Don't think he's going to win, but I'm pulling for him. Official prediction, though, Jacob Fatu. Okay. We have AJ Lee defending her Women's Intercontinental Championship against Becky Lynch. These two superstars have been feuding for some time. And instead of allowing either of them to move on and do something else, we're getting them one last time at WrestleMania in a one-on-one match. Should be pretty good. AJ took the Intercontinental Championship from Becky at the Elimination Chamber. She's probably not going to be sticking around much after WrestleMania. So I think Becky Lynch is going to win the championship back. Their story really started as a side of CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. Then it became a mixed tag match with both of their wives. And these two have sort of kept it going to the side, even though both of the male superstars have moved on to other feuds. So, it'll be really exciting to see what AJ Lee's got on such a big stage. She really hasn't wrestled much since returning. So, let's see if she can hang. I mean, Becky Lynch is a great opponent for her. I think that's probably why they kept her together for so long. But Becky Lynch can really bring the best out of anyone. She's one of the best in the world. Not just one of the best women, but one of the best in the world at what she does. And it's not just her saying that, right? Sports Illustrated says it. The Bleacher Report says it. Like, everyone's saying it. I'm saying it. Becky Lynch, you're one of the best. It is what it is, guys. I think Becky's going to win the title back as well. Particularly if corrupt Jessica Carr is not the referee of the match. I think she's got a chance. I like AJ Lee, though. I do like AJ Lee, but I just don't think she's got what it takes to beat Becky at WrestleMania. All right. Next up, Stephanie Vaquer will defend her women's world title against Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan won the Royal Rumble to earn this match. And at the time, Stephanie was sort of in a little mini feud with Raquel Rodriguez. I think Raquel taking the title from Stephanie Vaquer and leading to Liv versus Raquel would have been very interesting. I think Liv versus Raquel versus Roxanne would have been even more interesting. Or it could have led to Liv versus Roxanne. I think Roxanne could have stolen Dom the way everyone expected her to sort of keep Dom's thing going where he was jumping from, all these top women in the company. I think going with Stephanie Vaquer was maybe the most boring option, right? Because the other option would have been jumping to SmackDown and going after Jade Cargill. I like Stephanie Vaquer. I think Stephanie Vaquer is really talented in the ring. Just really entertaining. But she struggles to tell stories, right? Her promos aren't great. She doesn't speak English very well, which is not a bad thing. But they didn't put a mouthpiece with her. They didn't, her storytelling is she talks in the ring. Her in-ring abilities, how she tells stories. But in the WWE, these stories are told in more than that way. And this feud has been a lot of them just attacking each other in the entranceway or backstage. There's not been a lot of promos because that's not their strong suit here. It's smart of the WWE to not give them a lot of promos. But they've been trying to make this feud last since the Royal Rumble. It hasn't hit that next level that it needed to hit for it to be a WrestleMania main event match. You know. So that being said, I like Stephanie a lot, but it's not Stephanie's time. She's been holding the title for a while. She's sort of been spinning her wheels for a while. It's Liv's time. Liv won the Rumble. Liv, I've argued before on this channel for Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan is the total package. I mean, Liv Morgan is everything. She's everything you want in a superstar. She's the best wrestler in the company. I'm a big fan of Rhea. I'm a big fan of Drew McIntyre. I think Drew's one of the best. I think Becky's up there as one of the best. I think Liv Morgan is the best all-around performer. She's got significantly better over the years. Her promos, she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. She can annoy you. She can get heat. She can win you over. She can sell like hell. And she's athletic enough in the ring that, she doesn't have to have 20 years on the indies. She's all around. She's everything. She's a total package. She's got the looks. She's got the attitude, the character. She's got the charisma. And she's got the mic ability. It's just one of the most important skills as a wrestler. It might arguably be more important than your in-ring ability. I think you have to hit a certain threshold of in-ring ability, but once you've hit that threshold, it doesn't matter how far past it you've gone, really. And I think with mic ability, the better you are, I mean, it just makes a difference, right? There is no threshold. It's just you're better, period. Liv Morgan, I'm such a big fan of Liv Morgan. I met her once in an NXT show, in an NXT house show in Orlando, at the Orlando Armory. She didn't even have the ring name Liv Morgan yet. She was wrestling as Gianna Daddio, her real name, right? And it was like her first or second appearance, and she could barely string together 3 moves, and she's grown so much, and I've followed her career this entire time, and I'm just a big fan. She's just consistently gotten better and better and better, and she is, I think, in my opinion, the best wrestler in the company. She deserves this moment. She deserves her WrestleMania moment, and hopefully this is it for her. And then we got one other match for Saturday, right? Saturday it's going to be Cody Rhodes, maybe with Jelly Roll, versus Randy Orton with Pat McAfee. This story has been bad. This story, there's so much history between these two guys, and they've touched on it a little bit, but not focused on any of it enough, right? Orton brought Cody in to the main roster through the legacy. They could have played on that. They could have played on the student-teacher relationship a little bit more. Instead, it's been that Randy Orton, just hearing voices, that takes him to that next level. Cody Rhodes doesn't have what it takes to get to that next level. But then the voices that Orton was hearing weren't in his head. It was on his phone. But then it was Pat McAfee, who's suddenly a heel now, despite having been pretty well liked as a commentator. And what? What? Then CM Punk called out McAfee. Then McAfee called out CM Punk, even though he's not in this feud or this match or this night. And then Pat McAfee thinks everyone is a bum if they can't afford WrestleMania tickets, even though TKO has jacked the price up significantly over the past few years. And with current politics in America, the economy is shit, and so many people are struggling. Gas is over $4 a gallon, and you can't afford WrestleMania tickets, so you're a bum. I think it's really tone deaf. I mean, it doesn't shock me, given Triple H and Stephanie McMahon and Linda McMahon's close affiliation with Donald Trump, and how they are very clearly MAGA. But for most of America, those ideals aren't hitting, Pretty much everything that's happening is the opposite of what the people who voted for him were told was going to vote for him. And they were dumb enough to believe it, and they voted for him anyway. And this is what we get, right? We get I don't normally get very political here. I apologize, guys. I'm not trying to go off on anybody here, but given the current climate, Pat McAfee's comments were pretty tone deaf. Let's just leave it at that. His involvement was unnecessary. The storytelling between these two guys has been really bad. There's a lot that they could have done, and they just keep changing their mind and changing their mind and changing their mind. This is a shitty main event. I don't really care who wins. Cody's probably going to retain, but I don't really give a shit. Let's move on to Sunday, okay? WrestleMania Sunday. Brock Lesnar versus Femi. I think that's probably going to open. If it doesn't open, it's going to be a little bit shocking to me, but it could be the women's world title match or WWE title match that opens instead. But I think this will probably open. I'm going to go with this first. Brock Lesnar versus Femi. It was probably the most anticipated match of the weekend for a lot of people. Not for me in particular. I couldn't give two shits about this. I feel like I'm one of the only people who just hasn't forgiven Brock Lesnar for sex trafficking. And I think a lot of people are just willing to look past it. For why? I don't know. I don't think he really adds that much value to the product for us to just forget his involvement and to just be okay with it. But again, you know, I alluded to this company's leadership's affiliation with, you know, the current political heads of America. So it shouldn't be surprising to anybody that they don't give a shit if someone was a sex trafficker. So they brought him back, and he's feuding with Femi. Oba probably should win. He should win. Even if he does, his huge career-defining moment to thrust him to main event status is going to be tainted because it's against a sex trafficker. Moving on. Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill. I mentioned this just a moment ago. It's the other match that could potentially open the night. There wasn't a whole lot of story here as well. Jade needed an opponent. That wasn't Tiffany Stratton. Rhea was on Raw. Didn't make sense for her to become the number one contender, especially because she was in a tag team with Io Sky. They dropped that tag team like a hot potato. They completely dropped the stories they were in the middle of, and they moved on. So we've had months of Rhea Ripley spinning her wheels with Io Sky as a tag team for nothing. We didn't get a payoff. We didn't get anything. We just moved on. And now Io's not making the card. She's not on the card. Io's just forgotten. And Rhea Ripley is going up against Jade Cargill, who suddenly is being backed up by two of the most irrelevant women on the roster, Michin, which, why is she Michin now instead of Mia Yim? I don't know, but she is, and B-Fab, who's still around despite the team she was managing having been fired years ago. This WrestleMania build has been bad, guys. It's been bad. A lot of people think Jade's going to win this big defining moment. They're trying to establish Jade Cargill. Jade's held this title for a while. Hasn't really defended it. Hasn't really been involved in any storylines. Rhea doesn't need the win. Rhea can bounce back. Jade needs it more. But Jade's been holding the title. And I just think that Jade, she just isn't what they want her to be. She's just not there yet. She needs more time, maybe. She needs more practice, maybe. So I think we're going to either get Bianca Belair or Naomi as a surprise return, causing a distraction, allowing Rhea to win, and hopefully Jade and that other woman, whether it's Bianca or Naomi. Not that I'm a big Naomi fan after she walked out of the company either. I wouldn't be excited to see her back, but I would be to see Bianca. I like Bianca a lot. Hopefully we get Bianca versus Jade moving forward, and Rhea can take the title and move on. It's WrestleMania. Rhea's the biggest star that they have. You know, I mentioned how I think Liv Morgan is the best. Rhea's the biggest, bar none. She is the biggest superstar that they have. So having her lose a world title match at WrestleMania, they could do it. or they could have her win. And so all the casual people who tune in, who know who she is, the same way they knew who John Cena was, can see her win. So I'm going to predict Rhea. I just think she's a safer bet, even though I think for a lot of people it doesn't make a lot of sense. Next up, we got Sami Zayn versus Trick Williams for the U.S. title. The two of them had been a little bit feuding because they were both involved in a number one contender match that Orton eventually won. They were both involved in the the Elimination Chamber, and they've sort of kept it going to the side. They don't like each other, and even though Sami Zayn is the good guy and Trick Williams is the bad guy, audiences are cheering Trick Williams. They're loving Trick Williams, and they are booing Sami Zayn. I'm a big Sami Zayn fan from when I watched NXT back in the day. I don't watch it anymore, not an NXT guy. Long story there. But I liked Sami Zayn a lot. And I think all these years later, Sami Zayn is underutilized. And I'd love to see him be thrust into a world title picture soon. I'd love to see him win his first world title. But I don't think it's going to happen before Trick Williams does. Trick Williams is new on the main roster. And, he probably needs this win more. Now, the U.S. title being on the line is a little shocking because Carmelo Hayes had the title for a while, and before him, Ilya Dragunov had the title for a while, and those two guys were doing open challenge after open challenge after open challenge, and then suddenly they just put it on Zayn, which makes sense. If you're going to keep having open challenges, eventually you're going to lose. But the audiences didn't really like that Carmelo Hayes was taken out of this match in favor of Sami Zayn, even though Trick Williams was sort of feuding with Sami Zayn and not really with Carmelo Hayes. Much I like Sami Zayn, his job here is very simple. Put over Trick Williams. Trick Williams wins his first championship in the WWE. It's probably going to be a short reign before he moves on to the world title picture. Right? Now, the U.S. title's on the line on Sunday. So is the Intercontinental Championship. It's going to be defended in a ladder match with 6 competitors. It's going to be Penta defending the title against JD McDonagh, Dragon Lee, Rusev, Rey Mysterio, and Javon Evans. Ladder match, multi-man ladder match. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's got a lot of people involved in the card who otherwise probably would have been left off of the card. There wasn't qualifiers on Raw or anything like these guys were just chosen kind of at random. So they're the ones in the match. Should be a pretty good, chaotic mayhem match, and that's that. I'm going to say Penta retains the title. Alright, and moving on from there, it's 2 more matches they have advertised for Sunday. And one is Demon Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. They've announced that he's going to be Demon Balor. They're advertising him as Demon Balor. And, versus Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom's got such a bright future as well. He's such a big name for them right now. It's a tough match to predict. The story here really is that seemingly out of nowhere, I say seemingly because they've been teasing it for a while, but seemingly out of nowhere, Finn was like, I need to do this by myself to prove that I still got what it takes, when he was feuding with CM Punk for the world title. And then he got mad when they all got involved, and then Dom was defending his Intercontinental Championship against Penta, and he said he wanted to do it by himself, and then he started calling for JD to interfere, and Finn was like, no, JD, don't interfere. And JD was going to interfere. I was like, no, JD, don't interfere. He said he wants to do it by himself. Let him do it by himself. And that distraction allowed Penta the victory. And then they all sort of just turned on Finn and beat him up in the middle of the ring. And now he's the demon. They're bringing the demon back after years. And with Finn Balor's oust of the Judgment Day, there is no longer an original Judgment Day member in the Judgment Day. I guess technically you could have said that before, because the original Judgment Day was Edge with Rhea and Damian. But that was very short-lived, And Finn came in, and Dom came in, and then sort of JD came in, and sort of R-Truth came in, and sort of Carlito came in, and then finally Raquel and Roxanne came in. But yeah, I don't know. This match should be entertaining. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a good match. It would be surprising to see the Demon lose on his big return to the Demon, but also it'd be a little bit surprising for Dom to lose, because I think Dom has more to gain by winning. And Finn has been around for a while now, and he's only held the Universal title for a day. He's not really sniffed the world title picture much since. Even when he has, he's lost. And I think they're pretty happy with Finn being who he is. And I think Dom has more of a ceiling. But again, the Demon is a special character, so I'm going to go ahead and predict Finn Balor. But this could go either way, and I wouldn't be shocked. Okay? Last match up, CM Punk defending his world title against Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble and ultimately picked CM Punk pretty early on, actually. Which is good. I didn't want to see Roman versus Cody again, so I'd rather see Roman versus Punk. This feud has gotten more personal over the weeks, but it started off kind of hokey. You know, the big insult was that Roman called Punk old, which Punk is old. You know, and also Roman's kind of old, so, you know, I don't know. It wasn't a great insult. But they've built a lot since then. They've built the intensity. They've built the hatred. This is, you know, probably the biggest match on the card. It's got like two of the biggest names on the card, right? Like these two guys in Rhea Ripley are like the 3 stars of the company. You can throw Cody in there as a 4th if you want. They think Cody's bigger than I think a lot of fans think Cody is. But yeah, it's a big match. And this big match is going to main event Sunday. It's the biggest match that they got, or it's at least the biggest match they think that they got. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people don't expect Roman to stick around after WrestleMania. They think CM Punk is going to retain. I see a reality where Roman wins the title, though. Right? I do. I definitely see a reality where that's possible. Roman Reigns is a safe bet, the same way Charlotte Flair is always a safe bet. I think Roman Reigns is always, always, always a possibility. So don't rule him out just because you think he's going to disappear. He can win the world title and he can still disappear. He can win the world title, he can stick around a little bit. He doesn't have to have a long reign with the title. He could win the title, lose it back on Monday Night Raw to Finn or to somebody else. Or not Finn, I'm sorry, back to Punk or to somebody else even. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It feels like predicting John Cena at WrestleMania. Like it's just a safe bet. And that is all 13 matches that have been announced. There's an episode of Raw and an episode of SmackDown between now and then. They could add one more match for Sunday, make it 7 and 7. Or they could just be trying to give one of these matches a little bit more breathing room. There are some big names noticeably absent, some titles absent, some matches absent from the WrestleMania card. There's no Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, though lately it's been on SmackDown. Tiffany Stratton, not on the card. Io Sky, not on the card. The Kabuki Warriors, not on the card. Right? Neither set of men's tag team championships are on the line, though the men's tag team champions on Raw are at least on the card. On SmackDown, you don't have the MFTs, or aka the New Bloodline, Solo Sikoa's group, or the Wyatt Six. None of them are on the card in any capacity. The Women's United States Championship, not on the line. Julia, not on the card. Chelsea Green, not on the card. Kiana James, not on the card. So, it's very interesting to see, particularly Tiffany Stratton, right? They like Io a lot as well, so Io's a little bit surprising, but Tiffany feels like a star in the making, and it's a little surprising that she's not on the card. But then again, even with 2 nights, even with an extra hour, there's only so much time. And we have 13 matches. 13 matches. And you figure there's going to be a few special entrances, a few celebrity guest appearances. Danhausen's probably going to have a backstage segment or 2 or 3. Maybe with some of the celebrity involvement. Maybe with the John Cena, the host. Maybe with R-Truth. They've been interacting on SmackDown. Right? You could have something from NXT. You could have something from AAA. Like, there's a lot of things they could add if they wanted to. But if this is what we get, this is what we get, guys. It's still going to shaping up to be a pretty decent card, despite a subpar build and some bad storytelling, some awful storytelling. But there's a few matches here that really stand out, and they could be really good. Punk Roman is probably going to be pretty solid. Demon Balor's making his return against Dirty Dom. That's going to be pretty good. I think that Liv Morgan and Stephanie Vaquer is going to be better than people are expecting it to be. I think the unsanctioned match between Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu is going to be, I think, a sleeper pick for maybe match of the weekend. And Seth and Gunther, that's the other one. I think both of those guys are just S-tier performers who are just good at what they do. They're big stars, they're big names, even though there's been no storytelling, which is going to prevent this from being like, one of the more memorable matches. I think from bell to bell, these guys can bring it. So those are the ones I'm looking forward to the most. Let me know, guys, in the comments, which match of the 13 matches are you looking forward to the most? It's going to be on ESPN, the upgraded tier, $30 for the month, just like all of them have been recently. So if you don't want to pay those prices and you don't want to check it out, I understand. I'm in the same boat. But hopefully there are some watch parties in your area. You can go to a sports bar. You can go to a movie theater. You can do something. I know there's nothing in the Vegas area. They're trying to drive ticket sales. But outside of the Vegas area, hopefully you can find a way to watch it without having to dish out, triple the price to do it. That's what we got. That's all we got, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.